After being abducted by a child killer and locked in a soundproof basement, a 13-year-old boy starts receiving calls on a disconnected phone from the killer's previous victims. What's interesting though is that if you look at the extended synopsis on Wikipedia, it also says, "Meanwhile, Finney's sister Gwen experiences psychic dreams that send her on a quest to find him." What? They didn't mention that in the trailers, did they? Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Burns Reviews. My name is John. Today we're talking about The Black Phone with Ethan Hawke, a whole slew of actors, young actors, new actors, surprisingly good kid actors, and yeah, I'll admit, I've been waiting to see this movie for like pretty much a year. The trailer came out last August, I believe it was, and it looked absolutely horrifying. So let's get into it. Starting with the story and the writing, The Black Phone is a fairly simple story, which works to its benefit. It's set in 1978, and I would argue that this is pretty much the movie Halloween if it was through the point of view of the two kids and not the teenagers. And you know, if the guy in the white mask was haunting them and not the babysitters. However, at the same time, while it may borrow from other horror movies of that era, but blends enough originality in there that it could stand on its own 2 feet. Honestly, it might be a modern day masterpiece, classic in horror, but I kinda need to see it again. A kid named Finn is trapped in a basement by a psychotic Buffalo Bill type and must rely on numerous clues and hints if he's to survive the week. What works best with the story is how well written these characters are. Most horror movies are simply a bunch of dumb teenagers who get killed off in creative ways, but you never really seem to mind when they kick the bucket. The Black Phone is much more in line with It, Chapter 1, A Quiet Place, and Stranger Things, where the film actually takes the time that is necessary to build up these characters and flesh them out in such a way so by the time we get to the third act, you actually do feel some tension when the stakes are raised all the way to the top. You feel it because you care. Also, it's kind of a cheat code to use children as your main characters because no matter what they do, short of them being like a bully, you're gonna be sympathetic towards them. You're gonna like empathize with them because, you know, if you see them in danger, it's really just a cheat code, and that's fine. I'm not against it. It works well in Stranger Things, it works well in It works well in A Quiet Place, and those are the movies that I would compare it to. Even though Stranger Things is a TV show, I see it more or less as a movie, to be honest, but that's the vibe of this. I don't want to go into too many spoilers about the plot outlines. We're going to be doing that more in the Ending Explained video on Friday, but right now, just talking about the vibe, the feeling, the tone, it's like grade A popcorn action horror movie. I wouldn't even say it's as disturbing as the trailer would have you believe. I thought I was going to be getting a scene that was going to be kind of similar to like Dr. Sleep. Remember the baseball kid? Yeah, I thought we were going to get some grotesque, disturbing imagery because the idea of kidnapping kids just sounds horrifying to me. And the movie is smart enough not to go to that limit. Mason Thames, who plays Finn, I would say largely carries the film on his back. Yes, even more than Ethan Hawke does. Not to say that Hawke isn't absolutely fucking horrifying in this, we'll get to him, but at the end of the day, it's Thames who we spend the majority of the film with in that basement. He is the one that we are going on this journey with. And with a lesser child star, I can see this entire film falling apart. Luckily, he does a fantastic job. Madeleine McGraw plays Gwen, Finn's sister, who has dreams of all the kids that are being taken, and again, as a kid, this could have gone terribly wrong. But luckily it didn't. The two leads? Aces, man. They're mint, as they would say. My favorite character in the movie, hands down, has to be, though, Miguel Mora, who plays Robin. This little badass does, like, you know, he's watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre, he's doing karate, he's standing up to bullies. If this kid doesn't get a contract with Netflix for, like, the next season of, like, Cobra Kai or Stranger Things, you are fucking up, Netflix. You are fucking up. Hire him today. He hasn't done a single movie. He hit the ground running with this one. He's like a cross between like Rufio from Hook and Hawke from Cobra Kai. He's just a badass, and more, please. Just that character. Don't change him up. Just typecast him as that character and keep bringing him into different shows. He's like one of the Goonies. It was great. Which brings us to Ethan Hawke, the Grabber. This dude is like equal parts like Michael Myers, Buffalo Bill, and Pennywise. You don't know what his deal is. He's creepy as hell even when he's trying to be funny, And you know, he keeps you locked in a basement for reasons that are not incredibly clear. Also, he likes steaks. He has a very nice collection of steaks. I think what makes the character of the Grabber so incredibly creepy is that, the mask, right? I mean, Ethan Hawke is great, don't get me wrong. Performance is great. He really becomes one with the mask, the same way the Joker might become one with the makeup and stuff like that. But the fact that he can change out the pieces of the mask, have a smiley face, a frowny face, horns, no horns, it kind of infers what kind of mood he's in when he comes down those stairs into the basement, and kind of freaks you out because you're like, oh, once again, he's wearing a creepy, scary mask. He's not smiling anymore. So that is creepy within itself. But Ethan Hawke, of course, was great. I shouldn't say of course, he's made a lot of bad movies, Ethan Hawke, but he seems to be having like a renaissance right now. This was great. It was subtle, much like in Sinister. If you liked Sinister, I think this is way better. This is probably the best movie put out by this director, Scott Dickerson, I think it is. He did Doctor Strange, which, you know, arguably those Marvel movies tend to be kind of studio produced. They don't really have a feeling of the director, but this definitely does feel like Sinister, like a companion piece to that. And I can almost forgive him for making The Day the Earth Stood Still with Keanu Reeves all those years ago. God damn, that movie was awful. And I'll admit, without seeing the trailers for this movie, I wouldn't really be sold on the idea of Ethan Hawke being a villain. You know, typically, like, I just saw Moon Knight, right? And I know a lot of people like Moon Knight. I was not one of those people. But when you think about Ethan Hawke playing a villain, in that, he was so boring. Like, I know he's probably written that way, and maybe that's the writing, who knows? Again, it's a Marvel product. It's manufactured to be appeasing, and it has to check off boxes. I get it. Disney, Marvel, great. But this really was impressive. Yeah. But here he's actually pretty damn creepy. This is a character you can build an entire franchise around if you want to. In fact, it looks like Blumhouse is in the process of doing that, which, without going into spoilers, I think is kind of a dangerous avenue to go down. Not dangerous, but like it's a slippery slope, because the Grabber is very much like Michael Myers or even Pennywise, where you don't know a lot about him. You have some bullet points, I guess you could say, but they're not filled in with details, and I like it like that. I don't want, you know, a backstory like Michael Myers or the Thorn trilogy. Right? That was awful. I don't want to find out that, you know, the Grabber used to be part of a cult. I don't want to find out that, like, he's like Joker. He's a victim of society. I just want him to be an evil motherfucker who does terrible things, and we don't know what his deal is, because that is fucking scary. So, Jason Blum, if you're watching right now, I know you are. I know you're a subscriber, clearly. Don't do that. You know, explore the elements of the Black Phone if you want to make a sequel, and have him come in some capacity, sequel, prequel, spin-off, whatever you do, but like, don't give us the backstory of this character. It will destroy him. He is really cool right now. This is going to be the #1 top-selling costume mask this Halloween, calling it now. I even looked it up. It's $250 if you want to buy like a mask like the Grabber. I'm not paying that. But if they had like a Party City version, then it was like 50-60 bucks, I'd be like, maybe. It's pretty damn cool. I like Legos, and that's probably why I like the idea of a mask that can like change into different things, because I'm cool like that. Also, the cinematography is pretty badass as well. It's the same guy who did Scream and what was the other one? He did Ready or Not. So fantastic cinematography. There's a couple scenes where they're in flashbacks, and it's during the 70s, and they kind of put this film grain on it, and it looks like a home video, kind of like Sinister. And you feel like this is something that you shouldn't be watching. And there's tension, and you're waiting for the shoe to drop, and you know things are going to go sideways. And the whole time, dripping in tension. So yeah, no complaints here. If I had one nitpick I didn't love about it, is that it doesn't quite answer all the questions that it essentially set up. I mean, sure, the main conflicts in this story are wrapped up nicely, and there is a sound resolution. However, some of the world building in the movie of how certain dynamics work in the story is a bit unclear and left open-ended. I personally didn't mind this though, because to me, with horror movies, less is always more. You know, don't show me too much. Keep the monster in the shadows. And don't answer all those questions because, you know, it kind of feels more like real life that way. I don't like stories that are too neat and too overly explained. I like to imprint my own kind of ideas onto it, as we all kind of do. And, you know, if you over-explain it, you kind of risk the idea of being dumb. But if you keep it kind of open and vague, A, it's creepy, and B, you know, it can be a little bit imprinted on based on the viewer that's watching it with the smartest idea that they can come up with. So, yeah, that works. I don't want too much, but at the same time, I am curious. Another small critique that I might have is that this movie plays it a little bit too safe. When you hear that they're making a movie about a creepy magician clown type character that is kidnapping children with a cliche panel white van, you're thinking that you're going to get a very grotesque, disturbing movie because the topic is disturbing. I was expecting to get a scene kind of like the baseball kid in Dr. Sleep. Not that I wanted to see that, it's just kind of what I expected based on the trailer. And it doesn't actually go as hard as you would think. There's a lot of tense moments, a lot of build-up, and there are definitely some very creepy imagery. A few jump scares, not enough to be annoying. They're warranted, they're creepy, and I enjoy a good jump scare if what they're showing is really cool. Yeah, they never let you sit in a disturbing moment and just cringe and feel your skin crawl. It's fast paced. It's like, I think it's like 110 minutes or something like that. So it's like 10 minutes longer than your average movie. But it never felt like it was like too slow or dragging out. The performances were top notch. The kid actors, which are typically awful in horror movies, were great. Watch out for these three kids. And the story was very simple without being contrived. Some things didn't make complete sense and some things were underexplained, but like I said, I quite enjoyed that, and that's why I'm going to give The Black Phone a 9 out of 10. Now, as you can tell, I have spoken very vaguely about what happens in this movie because a lot of this is the mystery of it. It's a lot of different puzzle pieces. So this Friday at 10 p.m. there was going to be an ending explained video for The Black Phone, delving deep into the press kit, behind the scenes, and of course my thoughts going into spoilers. Keep an eye on that for 10 p.m. on Friday, and just giving a final verdict, I'm going to give The Black Phone a 9 out of 10. Don't sleep on it. Cinematography is great. Go see it on the biggest screen that you can. Grab your friends, grab some people. I really enjoyed it. It's a great blockbuster flick. Great horror blockbuster flick. It's really something to behold, so go check it out. It comes out this Friday in theaters everywhere. 45 days after that, it's going to be on Peacock. You can stream it then if you want to do that. And be sure to stop by on Friday. We're going to be doing all the spoilers and deep dives into the ending of this film, talking about what it was based on. It was written actually by Joe Hill, the son of Stephen King. Can't wait to talk about that, but until then, guys, thank you so much for watching. I have been John here on Burns Reviews. You just got burned. Comment down below, what did you think of The Black Phone? You're going to be checking out this weekend, and we will see you next time.